Which are the best RTS games that you can play for free in 2026? Well, on the surface, that question is easy to answer. Beyond All Reason or Zero K if you like massive scale. Certain parts of StarCraft II if you want the most refined experience with a competitive scene and have the APM for it. Multiplayer of Spellforce III called Versus if you like some RPG in your RTS, something similar from Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition, and then there is War Selection, which is much closer to Empire Earth. But you didn't come here for the easy answers and just a handful of choices. So if you give me 20 minutes of your time, I will give you at least 20 RTS games you can enjoy, including all the links in the description. To keep things interesting, I will put them in a rough reverse order of popularity, which means we start with Lambda Wars. If it reminds you of Half-Life, that is because this is a standalone modification of Half-Life 2 and a fully downloadable game on Steam. You don't have to own anything else to play it. It does have a community Discord server you can join to find more players, and as you can expect from a 10-year-old game, it is a bit dated visually, but still pretty detailed considering it's free. Lambda Wars offers two factions from the main game, the Combine and the Rebels. There are a few pretty well made scenarios in it, so that is a big plus. Aside from that, each faction has quite a few units and weapons. If you decide to get into it, you'll be able to enjoy both skirmish and multiplayer modes. Some players have expressed their desire to take over the development or remake it as Lambda Wars 2, as the main modders stopped working on it a while back, and they have actually said yes to the proposal. So I hope one day I get to make a video on such a standalone mod sequel.
They're never gonna make a stalker out of me.
This next game has a distinctive retro and pixel art look, but its gameplay is somewhat of a mix between some of the most beloved RTS games. Its title is Retro Commander, no subtlety there, as Supreme Commander is an obvious inspiration along with Command & Conquer games. And even more interesting, its next iteration is going to be called Chrono Commander, but more on that in my RTS news videos. So as the title says, you have a commander unit, both in single and multiplayer, several factions with unique land, air and naval units, as well as super weapons and missiles. There is noted variety in its missions with regular skirmish, escort, rescue missions, but also elimination, survival, capture the flag, defense, and even a type of battle royale. Be aware that the single player is behind a paywall. Well, most of its 30 missions are, as you can only get a taste of its comic book style narrative in a few free missions. The multiplayer is mostly free to play, but if you want more map variety, then you have to pay. Now, if you watch my videos regularly, you probably already know about Liquidation, a Warcraft-like RTS with a world that reminds of Warhammer 40k. Well, before those devs created that one of their main devs published Loria on Steam. Today, that game is entirely free to play, with even two well-scripted campaigns which are quite charming. There are two playable factions, and even heroes of sorts who can level up and collect items, while regular units can gain veterancy upgrades. The cartoony graphics work well with the comic nature of the story and, let's say, a somewhat overconfident knight. There's no multiplayer, but given that a lot of other free-to-play RTS games are multiplayer only, this represents a nice change of pace, though the game does include an AI skirmish mode.
Chaos conquers all.
Keeping to the low-key aesthetics and obvious inspiration from some of Blizzard's best work, I should next mention Wyrmsun. The Germanic and Norse mythology are used for its three factions, while other elements like heroes, UI, stats, base building and combat gameplay offer no surprises. The pathfinding in this game can be a little bit frustrating, with different members of a group often taking entirely different paths from point A to point B. There also does not seem to be a lot of variety, with mostly the same basic soldiers being used. There are not a lot of scenarios in the game, but there are some with interesting themes, meaning that the few that are available do manage to evoke some atmosphere. And the atmosphere is one of the most important elements in such games, which is why the community-driven project known as Skylords Reborn looks so amazing. A long time ago, this was actually a multiplayer RTS and CCG hybrid game under the name Battleforge. But once EA abandoned it, an all-volunteer team took over, and now they're even creating new content. Their new season, Whispers of the Void, will start on March 1st. Here you can see more of their work in progress, like a brand new campaign map, the Shifting Temple, releasing later this year. The gameplay is based on collecting cards from different factions and building your own deck out of them so you can summon buildings, creatures, and even spells. Cards can be collected from booster packs and traded between players. It is playable in solo mode, but much more fun in the co-op and PvP modes. An odd gameplay mix to be sure, and not your regular RTS, but these passionate devs provide monthly community updates, balancing events, and even take feedback in surveys so all players can have a say in the game's future. They recently updated their own launcher, making installing it even easier. In this video, I will be showing you several games whose devs created sort of light, free versions of their full games. And one such game, Ancestor's Legacy, has a very funny subtitle, the Peasants Edition. This is basically a stripped down version of the full game for, well, peasants, plebs, poor people, but also for rich people who happen to be extremely greedy, they are welcome as well. This version features only one of the factions, the Bloodthirsty Vikings, in one campaign, which covers a Viking raid on England. You also get access to all multiplayer maps to play with all your peasant friends, but only in multiplayer, as AI skirmish has been disabled for peasants. The game is built on a last-gen version of the Unreal Engine, which means it kinda still looks good, and it will fry your graphics card only a tiny bit. Although the aesthetic is very dark, sometimes preventing you from seeing very much. Basically, you will hate it or love it, and rarely find players who are in between on the subject. Actually, you will rarely find any players at all. But that is a story for another video, which I will link up here and in the description for all you future people, but if you are watching this video as a fresh upload, I will link you one about similar games you can look forward to in the future.
Gods are with us! It stopped raining! Now we can burn everything down!
This next now free and open source RTS, but a childhood defining moment for many of us, is a game many of my viewers mention in their comments to this day. And small wonder, considering the amazing features it had and the ability to blow our tiny gamer minds back in 1999, a year that few PC gamers can ever forget. I am of course talking about Warzone 2100 and its slightly higher resolution version you can download on Steam, but the up-to-date version is only available on the official website, and it's playable over LAN and online lobby. It truly needs a facelift, especially as its dark brown to dark grey visuals were never something to behold, in stark contrast to its unforgettable unit customization. Once you start playing, you might notice that the need to design your own units can slow you down from destroying your opponents, but that is exactly where half the fun is at, with 400 different technologies. The AI, of course, is not slowed down by such creative pursuits and might be at your doorstep sooner than you would prefer. On the other hand, the game retains a full campaign with some FMV cutscenes and will transport you to the end of the 20th century faster than a temporal wormhole. Oh, and on the subject of time travel and wormholes, did you know that the original Command & Conquer Red Alert game is a sort of open source at this point? So not only has EA stopped selling the original version, but it has made its source code available and you can download the full game at the website I will link in the description. You can play both the campaigns and in the multiplayer modes by using the CNC net. This is a similar situation as with Command & Conquer Tiberian Sun and its expansion Firestorm, which you can also download at the same website. It's not the only version or the only website, as the game was free to download even from the official website since 2010. I honestly can't really tell you which of these two is more important for the franchise and the whole genre, so just play both.
Welcome back, Commander.
And to sweeten the pot even more, there is a project called Chrono Divide, which lets you play CNC Red Alert 2, but in web browsers, meaning almost anywhere. This is a fan-made project which was last updated at the end of 2025 with more maps and fixes, and you can simply just jump into a web page and start playing. You don't need a single additional plugin or application installed, so give that a try as well. Next, I would recommend Zero AD as one of the longest running open source RTS. Its gameplay is quite similar to Age of Empires, but it looks more like Age of Mythology because of its chosen engine. This one offers skirmish and multiplayer modes, but no real campaign. As a point of criticism, I did notice some troops would just stand there while others were being attacked. Its graphics are surprisingly good, and these days the game is more in line with the recent Retold edition of Age of Mythology than any previous edition. Interestingly, the game allows soldiers to collect resources and construct buildings, something that you can see only a little bit in the mentioned Retold version. This is, however, a realistic twist, as few people during ancient times would have been exclusively just soldiers. Rather, they were just people who would take up arms as needed. Also, instead of advancing through the ages, your cities get an upgrade in status, moving from village to town and finally to city status. If you have played this one before, let me know your thoughts on it in the comments below. And on the subject of open source games, few are as interesting to the RTS community as those that are based on the OpenRA engine, like Cameo or Combined Arms for example, which I will give you more info about in a minute. The passionate team of modders/developers who created this OpenRA project modernized several Command & Conquer games like Red Alert and the original CNC game titled Tiberian Dawn. On top of that, they made Dune 2000 work on modern systems as well. This platform helps other modders rebuild or mix and match different classic 2D and 2.5D RTS games with native support for modern operating systems. And so we have Cameo, a project that goes beyond all norms and mixes factions of Command & Conquer, StarCraft, Warcraft, and many others inside a single CNC style game. Yes, the graphics are dated, but the project is in the midst of an ongoing migration to a newer OpenRA version. As Stalin, who is actually a character in this game, used to say, quantity has got a quality all of its own. And I can confirm that it is indeed incredibly fun to slice open poor orcs stuck using medieval fantasy weapons from Warcraft with futuristic Sardaukar from the Dune universe. This game is downloadable from the ModDB website, but instead of a straightforward installation, you'll need to unpack a scary looking zip file and launch the game from there. It's not finished, but devs are still working on publishing a 1.0 version. The second project based on the OpenRA platform I want to show you was designed to bring the old Westwood real-time strategy games back to life by letting you command factions from several Command & Conquer games in one. Its title is therefore Combined Arms. It features a fully fledged campaign, although without any of the full motion videos the original games were famous for. The missions seem to be well designed and the music is very good. Although this game was not made by Westwood, it certainly feels close to it. It too is downloadable from the ModDB website, but otherwise has a normal installation process. The last version, 1.08, was published at the end of 2025, including the 8th chapter of the campaign with 6 new allied missions, new difficulty options, full campaign co-op support, and an updated OpenRA engine. If you have your own favorite games based on the OpenRA engine, do share them with me and other viewers in the comments of this video. Next, I'm going to show you one of my all-time favorites and a project that I use when I'm teaching my own son to play Lord of the Rings themed RTS games. This is called All-in-One the Battle for Middle-earth launcher, and what it allows you to do is to download both Battle for Middle-earth games and the expansion for the second one, while also managing different versions, mods, and playing online with other fans of these abandonware games. I used it to show you that Elder Scrolls inspired mod, and you can see what it is like and learn how to install and play it in my video linked up here on the right and down in the description. The all-in-one launcher includes multiple languages, an improved repair function, as well as an updated graphical user interface, and if you register and join their Battle Arena online platform, you can basically play with your friends in one click. The replays are saved automatically and uploaded, so anyone can watch them, and you don't have to do any preparation for online matches, just enjoy them. I must admit I always preferred the closed castle system of the first Battle for Middle-earth games, but do let me know in the comments which one you like more, the first or the second. The next free RTS game you might want to look into is War Selection, but do keep in mind it is multiplayer only and still an early access title despite half a decade of development. The plus side of that is that it constantly gets updated. Its main redeeming quality is how similar it is to Empire Earth, meaning it features half a dozen ages to play through from the Stone Age to the modern times, and as many cultures. There are land, naval and air units, and a lot of them spread across these cultures. The graphics are passable for 2026, while mechanically it feels okay-ish. Not a glowing recommendation, I know, and I personally could never really get into it, but at least it has a good tutorial, and I do get comments from my viewers occasionally praising the game. The other game mode, called Survival, is actually behind a paywall, and there you will find more factions locked as well. One type of game most of you might not really enjoy, but which is actually slowly growing into a proper RTS, is Mindustry. It started as a factory builder tower defense, but now features an RTS mode, where you can have attacking units and similar opponent as a proper RTS game should have. While you can select and command units to move and attack, devs have yet to implement hotkeys and waypoints. Due to the focus on complex economy and logistics in Mindustry, it takes a while before you can get the hang of it. You will manage a lot of different resources, where everything is connected by components it needs from somewhere else in the chain. You also get a cute spaceship, which you directly control using the arrow keys, giving the game a tiny shoot-em-up element. Do note it is free to download on itch.io, while on Steam it has a version you have to pay to get features like achievements, seamless multiplayer and map browsing/workshop support. Now, whatever might be your opinion on Stormgate, I still have to put it up here, as it was the latest attempt to take StarCraft II esports RTS crown. Spoiler alert, that plan failed. With 3 factions and 3 fully voice-acted campaigns, there is still plenty to try out, but some of its missions are behind a paywall. Yes, it is made with a younger and modern audience in mind, and it shows. The intense criticism of the game seems to be divided mostly between the look of it, the esports focus, and multiple times devs collected funding from players. If the developers had taken a different approach just to their PR campaign, funding and design, it would have been remembered differently, although in that case maybe it would have never been funded at all. The point is that we got some playable content out of it, together with some very advanced RTS tech. Though, as a major point against it, the rollback netcode that developers made quite a big deal out of does not seem to always work as intended, with units sometimes staying stuck in one place for seconds, even in AI skirmish mode.
Power the tool of your own destruction.
So, the game that started all of this is the original StarCraft from 1998, and you can actually download it for free from Blizzard's Battle.net storefront. It is just packed inside the newer remastered version, for which you do have to pay to unlock the new graphics and 1v1 matchmaking. For Blizzard, this is a good way to market, just give the old version away and see whether people paid to upgrade the graphics. As for the game itself, the Warhammer 40k influence was always apparent, and gameplay-wise the original game is definitely showing some age, with players not being able to select many units at once. Some of course might see this as just a skill gap. The story is still timeless and for all RTS players out there a must-play. For all of you who prefer a much bigger scale from your RTS games, 0K is the second most popular spring/recoil based RTS and the only one available on Steam for the moment. This one departs from the total annihilation formula in more significant ways than Beyond All Reason. Instead of 2 or 3 factions, we have just one, and instead it is the factory you build that decides your strategic possibilities versus those of your opponent, as the first factory is free, so you are off to the races and to the annihilating part of the gameplay very quickly. 0K has been out there a long time and features a full single-player campaign, multiplayer co-op and a huge list of maps to play on, no matter if you like 1v1s, free-for-all matches or 16 vs 16 player slugfests. It has also moved on from the older Spring engine to the modernized Recoil engine, which helps a lot with graphical fidelity, and besides physically simulated units and projectiles, as well as terrain manipulation, there are more crazy things you can do in it. Developers are not stopping there, so no matter when you jump onto this one, you will have unforgettable fun in it. But instead of large scale, if you prefer some RPG in your RTS, then Spellforce 3 is your jam. To be more precise, it's Spellforce 3 Versus version, sporting gorgeous graphics in a fantasy setting. The only downside is that this is just the multiplayer section of the game, while Spellforce's main appeal is chiefly about its big RPG style campaign. The gameplay in skirmish and multiplayer is focused on hero progression and capturing points in addition to resource collection and combat, so you do get to feel some of that at least. Another relatively rare quirk is that you do not assign workers. Instead you build a resource collection building and workers are automatically assigned. The fantasy atmosphere is certainly here and some tournaments are still held for this game. The Versus edition even includes one campaign mission as a sort of a demo to whet your appetite for the story. This is almost the total opposite of what you get from Age of Empires 2 and its Definitive Edition free version, because in that one you are allowed to play some of the campaign content and skirmishes with limited map options, while ranked multiplayer is locked out and you can only play in the unranked part of it. What you can choose is one of the rotating free civilizations in the multiplayer, but others are locked behind a paywall. Still, paying absolutely nothing is not too bad a deal for an absolutely premium AAA RTS experience. The game takes place during the period from the Renaissance right up until the early modern age. The campaign content that is free is of very high quality. Everything has been voice acted, there are high quality 3D cutscenes which help tell the story, and the in-game graphics are also among the most polished out there. It's probably one of the most innovative games of the franchise, with a customizable progression system, a card system, mercenaries and minor factions. Now we come to the top 2 free RTS games out there in 2026, and so let's talk about StarCraft II and what it offers for free. Probably the most played part and certainly the most impressive looking one is the full cinematic free Terran campaign. But there are also the training scenarios for the multiplayer mode, so that new players aren't completely out of their depth the moment they play their first match against other humans. So when you are ready, you can jump in for free into both ranked and unranked, as well as the custom games, arcade and co-op modes. What isn't free are the other campaigns, the ones focused on other factions, titled The Heart of the Swarm and Legacy of the Void, as well as the Nova covert ops. Naturally, cosmetics like skins, announcers and emoticons must be paid for, but also co-op commanders, because you can use them in that game mode, but only up to level 5. The esports appeal might be falling off a bit, but otherwise there has never been a better day to start enjoying StarCraft II. The economy is fairly simple, gameplay smoothest in the genre, and the skill ceiling as high as a skyscraper.
Make no mistake, war is coming.
I know my top choice for this list of free RTS games in 2026 might lead to some of you disagreeing with me, but to me personally, Beyond All Reason is the future of the genre, and StarCraft II is its past. Massive scale gameplay of Total Annihilation in a modernized format, focus on team play rather than 1v1, insanely advanced controls and quality of life features for both base building and unit command, and already tested limits for hundreds of players in a match. Yes, it does not have a campaign or story, and that is its biggest downside right now, but I recently talked with Bar's devs and they revealed some mind-blowing new content and future plans to me, which go far beyond the recent added third faction named Legion. They are planning to share this new content and future plans with the public soon, so hold on to your pants in 2026. On the technical side, it is based on the open source Spring engine, but forked and trimmed to 11, creating the modernized version called Recoil. It is capable of some spectacular eye candy, which the game utilizes to fullest extent. Its community is growing almost exponentially at this point, with close to 70,000 members on the official Discord alone. One of the next steps is a Steam release, which is probably its last obstacle to becoming the #1 RTS to play for free. I think this video demonstrates how many RTS games you can play without needing to buy anything. But what if I told you that many games did not make the cut? So if you are ever done with these free titles, let me know and I will put up a new such video with more games for you to enjoy. Do tell me which is your favorite right now and any you want me to show in that future video. You can learn how to play Beyond All Reason and about new and upcoming RTS games using the cards on the screen or links in the description. Thank you for watching and happy gaming!